In today's video we will make a scarf using puff stitches and cross double crochets. I will use Snuggly Wuggly yarn by Lo6ps Threads and a hook size G 4.25 millimeters. The multiple for this stitch is 3, and for my scarf I will start with chain 36. One, 2, 3, 4. Here I have 36 chains, and now I will make a puff stitch into the 7th chain from the hook. We never count the chain on the hook, we always start counting from the next chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here's how I make my puff stitch. Yarn over, I insert the hook and draw up a loop. Then again, yarn over, into the same chain I insert the hook and draw up a loop. Again, yarn over, insert the hook, draw up a loop. Again, yarn over, insert the hook and draw up a loop. And I did that a total of 4 times, and I now have 9 loops on my hook. And now I do yarn over and I draw my yarn through all 9 loops. And my puff stitch is made. Next I make 2 chains, 1, 2, yarn over, and I skip 2 chains, and into the next 3rd chain I make another puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. And my second puff stitch is made. And I continue crocheting this way until the end of my chain. I made my last puff stitch, and now I have only 2 chains left. So at the end I'm going to make 1 chain, I'm going to skip 1 chain and make a double crochet into the last chain. And this is what my first row looks like. I start my row 2 with chain 3 turn, and now I'm going to skip 1 chain over here, and I'm going to skip my first puff stitch, and into this chain 2 space, the space in between 2 puff stitches, I'm going to make a double crochet. Then I make 1 chain, and now I'm gonna go backwards and make a double crochet into this chain 1 space, the space that I skipped, like this. And here I have 2 double crochets that are literally crossed. Now again I skip this next chain 2 space, and into the next chain 2 space I make a double crochet. Then I make 1 chain, and I go backwards and make a double crochet into this skipped chain space, like this. And again I have 2 double crochets that are crossed, and I continue crocheting the same way. I skip the chain 2 space and the puff stitch, make a double crochet, chain 1, and I make a double crochet into the skipped chain space. And I continue this way until the end of this row. Here is what my work looks like, and here I got to the last puff stitch. So again I'm skipping this chain 2 space, and I make a double crochet into the last chain space. Then I make 1 chain, and I make a double crochet into the skipped chain space. And now I'm going to make a double crochet into the 3rd chain of this turning chain. So basically it's the chain over here. I need to skip 1 chain here, and this is the next chain, 1, 2, 3. So counting from the bottom, it's the 3rd chain, like this. And this is what my work looks like so far. I start row 3 with chain 4 turn, and in this row I will be making puff stitches again. So I will make my puff stitches into the chain 1 spaces in between crossed double crochets like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I make 2 chains, 1, 2, and I make a puff stitch into the chain 1 space in between the next crossed double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 2 chains, 1, 2, and a puff stitch. And I continue this way until the end of this row. Here I made my last double crochet, then I make 1 chain and a double crochet into the top of turning chain 3. And this is my 3rd row. All I need to do now is to repeat rows 2, 3 for the pattern. Here I repeated rows 2, 3 several times, and this is what my pattern looks like. It looks very similar on both sides. And I'm just going to continue crocheting this way. And now I used up the entire skein of yarn. At this point my scarf is about 66 inches long. The last row that I made is row 3. And now I'm ready to fasten off. And all I need to do now is to hide the yarn tails on both ends of my scarf. And my scarf is finished.